24 female. They've been together 3 years, and Nick has repeatedly suggested an open relationship, to which Sophie has refused. Until a few months ago when he said he'd only propose if she agreed to try an open relationship. She agreed. I said to him at the time that he was an A for it, but he said he was just acting in his best interests. Now, Nick wanted an open relationship so he could see Anna, 29 female, a girl we knew from college who he always had a thing for. But she was married from when she was 18 to 26, so we never had a chance until recently. He hasn't had a chance to see her yet because she had been living with her sick mom, and they can't afford to rent a hotel room. Now, the issue is that Nick showed up at my house last weekend with a suitcase, absolutely livid, and asked to crash on my couch. He said Sophie had gone out to dinner and slept with a male model, and that she was cheating because he hadn't had a chance to see Anna yet, and it wasn't fair for her to see someone so much hotter than Anna. Not that Anna isn't attractive. I basically laughed at him and told him this is exactly what was going to happen, and that it was being selfish expecting Sophie not to see anyone or to see people less attractive than her, as she's very attractive, and I don't know why she's with Nick, to be honest. He went off on me for not being supportive and stormed out. It is trying to turn our friend group against me for not supporting him. I've taken a few days to think about it, but I still can't decide. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Well, if it isn't the consequences of his own actions. Not an a-hole. He asked for it. He got it. Looks like someone fooled around and found out. This is literally the way this goes 90% of the time. I've even experienced a friend in this situation. The a-hole partner wants to cheat with permission and overinflates their chances of being able to in their head. They wear the partner down until they agree, and surprise, surprise, it's the unwilling partner that goes out and gets them some. Not the a-hole. It sounds like a super crappy friend. Not the a-hole. Dude didn't want an open relationship. He just wanted permission to cheat. I hope Sophie has realized that the grass is greener on the other side. Not the a-hole. He doesn't want an open relationship. He wants to date whoever he wants without any repercussions while his girlfriend has to be 100% loyal to him. He said he was just acting in his best interests. Translation? I only care about myself, so everything I do is justified if it benefits me. Rolls eyes at Nick. Not the a-hole. He needs no sympathy. He had a woman in mind when he asked and requested an open relationship, so he could keep Sophie as backup if this thing with Anna didn't work out. He probably thought Sophie wasn't hot enough to get someone, or thought Sophie would be so in love with him she wouldn't take advantage of what is frankly his demand. Oh man, I hope that he ends up without Sophie or Anna. I think you should lay it out to your friends group the scam he was perpetrating on the women in his life, and how whiny he was when the scam blew up in his face. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for asking him how old he is? I'm writing this at work right now because it just happened. I was pushing a cart full of stock down the aisle when this guy stopped me. His exact words were, "Hey, I noticed you because you're really pretty. Would you maybe want to grab dinner or something sometime?" Now for some context, I am 21 as of this year, and this dude that stopped me to ask me out looked like he could be absolutely no younger than 37 or 38. I'm sorry if this offends you, but in my eyes, this is a little bit creepy. I was honestly shocked because I thought this guy was just gonna ask me for directions or help or something. And in my shock, all I could think to do was look at this guy and ask him, "How old are you?" disbelievingly right to his face. His only response to me was, "Well, you don't have to be a witch about it." And then he walked away. So now I'm just here at my podium wondering whether or not I was actually a witch about it. I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was just genuinely kind of shocked. I accept whatever judgment you see fit past Reddit. I just want a little clarity. Oh, hell no. You are not an a-hole. Good for you to ask that question and put him on the spot. Well done. Absolutely not an a-hole. OP, first of all, you weren't being an a-hole. And second, if there's ever a time to be an a-hole, it's when someone's being creepy like this. Was it gracious? No. But hey, guess what? You don't have to be gracious to men 15 plus years older than you who are hitting on you at work. Dude wants to shoot a shot at some random much younger woman in her workplace. He can develop a thick enough skin to deal with all the possible responses, including this one. Guys, don't steamroll in and ask a retail worker to go out with you while they're on a job. They're at work. They're stuck there. They're a captive audience who will get in trouble if they piss you off. A really crappy dynamic to be hitting on people, especially when they're much younger than you. Not a day-hole. OMG this. There was another post on here a week or so ago with the same issue. It is so weird and just annoying to ask someone out while they're at work. She is being paid to be nice and assist customers with a friendly face, not to get accosted by any guy or girl who finds her attractive. Let her do her job. Jeez. Not a day-hole. And OP, you don't ever owe anyone the time of day just because they feel like you do. One time a guy asked me to dinner as I was cleaning his puppy's piss off the floor. Not a day-hole. If he really thought you were significantly older than you were, he would have just told you how old he was. That he didn't pretty much proves to me that he knew he shouldn't have been anywhere near you. It's absolutely creepy. People in their mid to late 30s have no business going anywhere near people your age like that. And I say that as someone in their 30s. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving a kid, who I don't know, a ride to the hospital after he broke his leg? This happened yesterday. Bedine 28 male was at my local mall doing shopping, and when I finished up, I went out to my car. I parked in an above-ground parking building. When I got to my car, I noted there was a bunch of kids. I'd say 14 to 16. Rough guess since I didn't bother asking. They were skateboarding. Just doing what kids do really. Then suddenly, I heard a blood-curdling scream, and I look over and I see a kid on the ground holding his leg. So I walk over to see if everything was okay. To say the least, everything was not okay. The kid broke his leg in a bad way. Not sure how, as I wasn't really paying that many attention. But was for sure broken. Everyone was freaking out, and I said I'll call the ambulance, which just made the kid cry harder, saying something along the lines like, "My parents are going to kill me." His friends were saying I should just give him a ride to the hospital as it was only 3 blocks away. I thought for a moment, but opted to still call for an ambulance. I called the ambulance. They showed up like 5 minutes later. The whole time everyone was trying to convince me to just drive him, and I stayed firm of, nope, not gonna happen. The ambulance is on the way. After the kid was put into the ambulance, and I gave my statement to the police, police show up to calls with ambulances to make sure they have all the needed info. The kids were all still complaining that I could have just given him a ride to the hospital instead of making his parents go into debt. Man, I think they watched too much American TV because we're in Canada. No one goes into debt for an ambulance ride here. Last time I had to get an ambulance to the hospital, it costed me like $50. Thank you, Canadian healthcare. Anyways, later when I came home, I was telling my girlfriend about what went down, and she called me an a-hole too, because you should have just done the right thing. The kid was hurt, and you have a car. And I said back, and ambulances are a thing. And I'm a total stranger to this kid and like, what would have happened if the kid somehow got more hurt while in my car? Not trying to catch a case. Wanted some outside perspective. Am I the a-hole for not giving the kid a ride to the hospital? Not an a-hole. Taking charge of an unknown, vulnerable minor whom you don't know, without their parents' consent? Nope, nope, nope. You did the right thing. Yes, if anyone should be concerned about going into debt here, it's OP. Moving someone with a severe break can cause further damage if you don't have medical training. Driving away with a minor stranger in your car is obviously also a legal minefield. If ambulances didn't exist, and no adults the kid knew were reachable, I would have driven him. But ambulances do exist, so... I'm a nurse, and I would not touch a kid with such an injury. I would have done exactly what you did. It could be the kid was more worried about getting in trouble with his parents because maybe he was supposed to be home doing chores or whatever. Not an a-hole. Definitely not an a-hole. Liability if you took him. You made a smart move. That's what I was thinking. Like, the kid could have been hurt even more, and no way do I want to deal with all that. Legally in the US, and likely similar in Canada, it would work like this. You would likely be protected by Good Samaritan laws by acting as a rescuer. But if you put that kid in your car and then get in an accident by, let's say, in the intensity of the moment, and checking on the kid in your rearview mirror you run a red? Boom! Now you've potentially incurred liability. It just isn't worth the risk. You assessed the situation and called the services that were designed to handle this. And that too is a universal healthcare jurisdiction. There was nothing a-holish about your response. I'd be kinda annoyed at your girlfriend. Not an a-hole. Visibly broken leg? Ain't no way I'm moving anyone in that state. You likely would have caused more damage. Even just thinking about what the leg looked like sends shivers down my spine. Like, no blood or anything, but it was for sure broken. Just bent like the other way. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for a hotel room? My friends and I want to spend a week at a resort near the beach. My friend and her boyfriend are bringing his buddy and I'm going alone. The plan was my friend and I share a hotel room, and her boyfriend and work buddy share another. We drove here 7 hours, and the buddy was flirting with me, and I realized my friend and boyfriend was trying to get us together. I was not into it. He smokes and smelled fish. We got to the hotel and my friend and boyfriend came to me and asked if we could swap rooms so they could stay together. I was not happy since it means I would have to stay with a buddy whom I didn't know at all. He was okay with it, but I wasn't, and asked the front desk if they had an extra room. They did, and it was expensive, but I didn't want to stay with a man I didn't know anything about. The week was okay, but Buddy was ignoring me the whole time, probably because of the hotel room stuff. We got back, and then he sent me a text saying I had to pay half his hotel room because he was under the impression he only had to pay half. I told him no, he got the whole hotel room, and so he should have to pay for the whole hotel room. My friend called me to ask me to pay because Buddy doesn't have a job and can't afford it. I felt betrayed since it was her and her boyfriend who changed plans and tried to put me in a room with a guy who I didn't know. We argued and she hung up pissed. Now for the comments. Not today home. He was under the impression he only had to pay half. So were you. Opie's friend and her boyfriend should be paying for an extra room. What appalling behavior on their part. Who does this? Like seriously, friends set up friends on blind dates all the time. But hatching an idiotic plan to try and force her to share a room with her, in their mind, date, for an entire week? They caused this mess. You're right, they should pay for it. And Opie needs new friends. Not today home. This is insane. Your friend is legit awful and the guy's gross and creepy. It's not okay to try to force someone to sleep in the same room as a stranger because you think they should have action. Gross, gross, gross. Consent anyone? Super proud of you for getting your own room. And don't enable this guy by giving him any money whatsoever. Not stay home. The whole situation was gross. They changed the terms, not you. Stand your ground. Sounds like your friend and her boyfriend need to cover his half of the room. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband we can only help support his artist sister if she gets a real job? My husband, 39 male, and I, 37 female, have been married for 8 years and have 2 kids. He and his sister-in-law, 31 female, have always been close despite the age difference. There's also a brother in between who isn't relevant to this post. Sister-in-law is an artist who has been working full-time on her art since graduating from school several years ago. I respect art and believe it can absolutely be someone's full-time job, but the fact is that she's never made any money off of her art aside from selling the occasional piece to a family friend. I don't want to pass judgment on her art because I'm no expert. STEM person here, but she's been trying to make it for years and years at this point and hasn't gained any traction, and I don't think she's going to start making money off it anytime soon. Still, she considers her art her career, and my husband is supportive and proud of her. We even own multiple pieces of hers. Her parents were fully supporting her financially until a couple years ago when she moved in with her boyfriend, who took over. She and her boyfriend broke up earlier this year, and she moved into a nice apartment funded by her parents. Unfortunately, my in-laws recently passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. It was devastating. What they left behind will support sister-in-law for a while, but not forever, and not at the standard of living she's accustomed to, which includes having to move out of her current apartment. And now husband told me he wanted to give her money every month so that she can keep working full-time on her art and maintain her standard of living. We both fortunately have high-paying jobs and a lot already saved for our kids, so we could easily afford it. However, I don't like the idea of supporting a non-disabled adult forever who could make her own living but chooses not to. I'm okay with helping her out temporarily while she starts working and figures out how to make her own living, but not forever. I don't care if she starts out at minimum wage. She just has to be doing something that will make money and start her path to independence. I did slip up and call it a real job to my husband, and now she and husband are both telling me I'm an a-hole, because if she has to work full-time, she won't have time anymore for her art, and that being an artist is a real job already. He says I don't understand the sibling bond since I'm an only child. His other brother agrees with me and says it would be about time sister-in-law got out into the real world. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Sister-in-law has submitted to work to many galleries, / tried to sell her art online via social media, / etc. She's tried to sell to a larger audience than family friends / family members, but hasn't gotten any bites. So her not selling her work widely isn't for lack of trying, unfortunately. I'm not sure if it's because she's not great at promotion, or because the market just doesn't want what she's selling. NTA, NTA, NTA. I am an artist, but I am working to sustain my art career on the side until it can become my full-time job. Current job is slightly related to art though. No capable adult should expect to piggyback on other people's work for the rest of their lives. That is really disgusting. Your husband is slightly a-holish. Just because I get wanting to help out immediate family, especially since you guys are well off, but your sister-in-law is a massive a-hole. She needs to spend a bit of time in a less affluent part of the world and become a fully formed adult in my opinion. Yep, if it doesn't pay the bills, it's a hobby, not a job. There is no reason why sister-in-law can't continue working on her art with hopes of one day making it, while working a paying job to support herself. Many people who are trying to become actors, writers, and artists do because they didn't have wealthy parents and still needed to eat. Not the a-hole OP. Tell your husband by real job, you meant paying job. If we could all stop working to pursue our passions, everybody would and would all starve. Sister-in-law needs to start learning that passions don't pay rent or buy food. Not the a-hole. Tell your husband you'll be quitting your high-paying job to be an artist. So he'll have to provide for the family 100%. And you won't be taking on any additional childcare / household duties because, after all, your art is a full-time job. See if he thinks it's still a real job.